We are discussing Hall of Fame coaching tonight on the heels of our webinar from 2 weeks ago, which is all about attitude. What we want to talk about tonight, as we get ready, everybody, we want to make clear that as we're on this show this evening and this afternoon, depending on where you are, we're going to get to a question and answer session afterwards. So go ahead and post on Facebook Live on the post down there below any questions that you have as a result of our presentation this evening. We're excited to get things kicked off in regards to the Hall of Fame coaching presentation. My name is Shemy Schembechler, and this is a presentation presented by That's a D1. I am currently the president of GES Advisory Company, and I come from a long coaching legacy, a Hall of Fame coaching legacy. My father was Bo Schembechler, the head coach at Michigan for 21 years, and you can imagine how much wisdom that was imparted on me throughout my lifetime, and I'm more than happy to share a lot of those wonderful tenets with you in regards to how, this is especially for parents of athletes, and just the importance of how you coach our young people so that they can be prepared for a successful life afterwards. I think so many of the tenets that my father taught at the University of Michigan for 21 years are really what made so many of his former players successful today. And so we have people that represent the hierarchy of successful leadership. There's people like Jim Hackett, who is currently the CEO of Ford Motor Company, and many, many others that we can draw examples from. And many of those things that Bo taught as a part of the program that I think are critically important. Okay? So just to give you a little bit of background of my story and just how I grew up, I was born my father's first season at Michigan in 1969, and my dad ended up coaching there for 21 years, and I grew up becoming a pretty big fan of football and coaching, and by the time I was old enough to really understand how a football program and a successful program at that is put together and how that transcends into success. We never really talked about wins and losses and championships on a day-to-day basis, but it was all the things that we did that went into it that allowed us to be successful. So my father ended up coaching for 21 years at Michigan. He won 13 Big Ten championships, produced All-Americans, All-Conference players, and most importantly, guys that were successful after they left the program. And so there's some basic things that I think are really important, especially when you're coaching and educating young people, that can start as early as middle school. I think it becomes critically important at the high school level. And it's all about how you maintain roles and responsibilities and how you set goals for yourself. So that you can position your young people to be successful, and so that they understand what they do each and every day becomes everything in regards to whatever goals that they want to achieve. If they want to be an all-academic performer, if they want to be all-conference, all-state, there's no shortage of goals that one can achieve regardless of what you set aside for yourself. So let me tell you, by the time I got to be in junior high school and high school, you started to get a really good feel for what it means to be on time, what it means to be enthusiastic in everything that you do. And so I have up here 4 really important tenets that I think should really be applied no matter whether you're a parent or a coach of a grade school or a high school player, is you have to lead and lead with many of these tenets that we're discussing so that your young people can really feed off of that and be inspired to achieve whatever they achieve every single day. So one of the things I always remember so vividly is that anytime I got home from school and I finished my homework, I hustled down to the football building just to see the players prepare not only for meetings but also for practice in the afternoon. Is there was always an energy involved with everything that they did, and guys hustling all the time, being on top of their teammates and holding their teammates to a higher level of expectations. Is that when you have that high level of expectation, you're going to achieve those goals much more easily than otherwise just going through the motions. So when we would go into the weight room or go into meetings, you could tell that there was certainly a high energy of a business-like approach that we are here. We do mean business, and everything is coordinated towards having a successful practice. So as I grew up, I had a great opportunity to really lay out expectations. Obviously, we talked about goal cards and all those things in the last session, but just looking at how my father lined up each and every practice schedule, and there's so many things that can be applied in your situation so that when you're putting together a practice schedule and it's basically organized down to the minute and second by period, is by the time they came out to the practice field, players knew exactly what the expectations were, not only what the energy was, but also what was on the deck of responsibilities for that particular practice, and working that plan each and every snap, each and every period, whether you're working through individual period or anything like that. So I think as a parent, it's really important to set a schedule for your kids. And so what I do with my young son here, we have a certain schedule that we adhere to when it comes to getting up on time and getting prepared to go to school, getting your breakfast. And I just think by keeping with a solid and consistent schedule that players and students become comfortable with, usually you can function a heck of a lot better when you understand what the expectations are in keeping that schedule. So not only are we going to be contagious in our energy and what we do, we also keep in mind the critical nature of organization, okay? And by understanding the nature of organization, because when you're a student athlete at the high school or the middle school level or even the college level, the whole idea is that you have your days and your weeks and your minutes and your months scheduled out so that when you identify what your goals were, and that's what we discussed last time, that you have you have a very clear framework to work that schedule, all right? Because then you can achieve your goals over the long term when you make steady progress each and every day, okay? One of the other things that I think is really important, and so we can see our picture over here with our man going up the stadium steps, is the whole idea, I may not be there yet, but I'm closer than I was yesterday. And if you have that mindset every single day with how you develop your skills and your mindset, you improve each and every day. You know, there's an old saying that goes down through history and coaching, is you either get better or you get worse because you never stay the same. So if you have this progressive attitude, this progressive mindset that you are going to get better every day, you're going to get up and do everything that you have to do each and every minute, you're going to get closer to your goals and you're going to get better every single day. How do you do that? You associate yourself with people that are like-minded like yourself. So goal-oriented people, people that are inspiring to be around, people that excite you and make you want to come and go to work each and every day. And it was interesting as we look back at my father's coaching career, how important it was to be a member of that senior class, whether you've been at Michigan for 4 or 5 years. that by the time you got to be a senior, the whole energy, organization, mental framework, all those things were well instilled into that senior class. So when players came in for that first training camp and you had new players that came into your program each and every year, you have a senior class that has already set that standard of expectations. So for young people, say you're going into high school as a freshman, it is really important to identify the people that are going to set that standard of expectations for you, and it'll give you a framework to really understand what the expectation is, and then you can do the work and do everything that that senior member of that team already understands, and you understand what you have to do to reach your goals and expectations. Okay? So I remember when I was a young high school tight end, we ended up playing for a conference championship team when I was in high school. There was a guy by the name of D.R. Dahl, who's a dear friend of mine and dear close friend of mine. My mom would tell me, literally when I was in 7th grade, and actually in 9th grade, when I got to that point to be a high school football player, why don't you follow what DR does? DR was a standout all-conference tight end, ended up playing his college football at Georgetown. And that was the guy I identified on my own team to really understand what the roles and expectations were of me so that you can chart those goals and basically approach each and every day with the type of enthusiasm that's required so that you can improve. Okay? So lastly, and we kind of touched about this already, is the whole idea of planning your work and working your plan. All right, we're going to go back to my father's practice schedule. How it was scheduled down to the second minute period, and it was extremely organized. And the expectation is that we were going to have an exemplary practice, so that by the time the 2-hour period comes up, is that we have achieved the closest thing to a perfect practice with perfect effort and perfect position, so that you work that plan, and then when you get to the end of that day, you know that you have gotten incrementally better. And so that really is the mindset that we talk about. And in regards to my career and what I was able to achieve, so I broke into the National Football League at a pretty young age, at the age of 24, is I had set a goal for myself that I was going to get to that point. And so for me to get into the NFL, which is no easy task by all means, it's a very exclusive group to get into, is that I started doing a letter writing campaign where I wrote every head coach and every general manager in the league. And it was those handwritten notes that I wrote each and every day and sent them out that really paved the way for why I got into the league. I remember when I broke in with the Kansas City Chiefs as an in-house scout, one of the very first things my boss, Terry Bradway and Len Stiles, told me is one of the reasons why I got the job, because they got tired of getting handwritten notes from me. And it was the idea that the frequency of personal notes, and I would always just write things, hey, I'm checking in, Michigan's having a great week this week, we just beat Colorado, or anything that was going on that week. I literally pilfered those guys with 1 or 2 letters each and every week, and that was literally my plan. So by the time I was ready to break into the league 1 or 2 years later, it was those seeds that really lent itself to being able to break in from the onset. So there's no reason that for any young people to achieve whatever goals they want to achieve, whether it be academics, and we talked about that a little bit in the first part, that you should be able to do things that are going to put you in position to achieve that goal once you get to that position. Okay? So that's really the key for this particular section. Christy, let's go on to the next slide. Maybe I can do this myself. Yes, I can. That the idea that you can maintain the proper attitude. We have an old philosophy in coaching called the philosophy of 90%. And this goes back to a little bit to what we talked about last week, is we need people to have an attitude of life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. All right. One of the great things about life, and I think it's worth talking about, is adversity is going to find you at every turn. And it's your attitude that is really going to allow you to handle that adversity and to move forward and improve. I think adversity is one of the most important tenets in any successful person, is that you're always going to have setbacks, okay? And the whole idea is that if you have a goal-oriented personality, you're going to be able to get through those setbacks, learn from them, and apply them to a successful mindset to where that 90% is going to dominate your psyche to say nothing's going to hold me back. I may get a setback here and there, but it's those setbacks that are going to make me and drive me into the person I want to be. Okay? So we'll talk about that. We want to be able to schedule to the minute, just like what Coach Schembechler's practice schedule said. You can see here, I mean, look at the look on his face, how serious he is. And these are all young grade school and middle school kids. And the fact that he can address these young people and set high standards for where they want to go. My dad, I can tell you, he loved talking to young people because he knew that this is the age that they're the most impressionable. And these are the times when your attitude yourself, how you lead yourself, is going to play a really positive role in the development of these young people, that they get to be middle school and high school age, and they have that mindset, that really positive attitude about being inspired and never letting anything deter them from reaching their goals. The other thing is, and this has always been a very interesting aspect to me, is how do you manage your energy, okay? And one of the great things I've learned and really spending time with some of the very best coaches, and particularly strength coaches throughout the country, is how do you manage your intensity and your energy? We can't go out and practice for 7 hours straight in a day, but how do we create the mindset that once we go out to practice, that's when we're going to get the very best of our efforts? And so it's the whole idea of you want to manage your energy through the day. And I think one of the most critical things that gets lost in people is they're not getting enough sleep, all right? We can talk about exercise physiology and all those things, but that's for a whole nother discussion. But really, once you get to that point and you understand the importance of sleep and how to get those 8 hours, and one of the things my dad did that actually made him a very successful coach is that he actually took a 15-minute nap every day. So it made those situations special. So he would take that 15 minutes, and then he'd be ready to go for practice that afternoon. Now you got to understand, this is a 50-year-old man trying to get out there and keep up with these 18 to 22-year-olds. Is the old idea that you understand your body more than everybody else, and that's how you should approach managing your energy. So make that a key aspect of how you manage your day every day, and you'll find that it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to manage those goals and reach those goals when you can handle your energy and your passion and your efforts each and every day. Okay? Now, last but certainly not least, the whole key to aligning personal goals into the team effort. Okay? We should all be governed by a higher power, whether it's God or Allah. In this particular situation, we want to talk about the team because we're lending our talents and abilities into the team effort, all right? And one of the things that I think is absolutely true down through the years is anybody that has a team-first attitude tends to achieve whatever goals they set for themselves, okay? So I think we talked a little bit about this in the last session, is once you align yourself into achieving on behalf of the team, those become tenets of leadership. And leadership, which I think is one of the biggest things that you're going to find in successful people these days is that they tend to be going to leadership positions when they graduate from college or high school or what have you. And those are the people that young people tend to follow. And the next thing you know, you're going to be giving more responsibility, more accolades, more successes. And so the whole idea that that's a D1, you grind for your stars, they couldn't be more true than in this particular situation. So what I like to do when we chart out a year goal or a season goal or what have you, whether you want to go win a championship on behalf of your team, whether you want to earn all conference or all state, is that you want to be able to set out those goals on a yearly basis and do whatever you can to reach those goals by managing your schedule each and every day, which is what we talked about. All right, the other aspect, and I can tell you this was really a major tenet of my father's success at Michigan, is there's some very talented players out there, some really good players that should go on to great things and should be able to achieve whatever goals that they have in mind. Not everybody is created equal. We understand that. The one thing that we did, that my father did philosophically to develop the program, is that he went after players that may not be quite as talented as that top third, and they were part of that group of the second thirds. These were the people that had all the character, work ethic, responsibility, had all the most positive character traits about them that made them special. And when you understand when that top third player, and those guys are talented now, every now and then that top player in the top third would not be up to par in terms of practice stamina and effort and passion and all those things. It was in those particular scenarios that the group from the second thirds would beat out the guy in the first thirds. And when you have an understanding of that, if you're part of that group from the second thirds, you're literally driving the effort of your whole organization to keep everybody on their toes. And so you as an individual or as a parent or as a coach, when you impart that wisdom on our young people, it's going to put them in a position to be really successful because they understand the importance of work ethic and drive and passion. And I think when you have that mindset, and this is very similar to what I've experienced down through the years, for anybody that has any successful organization, whether it be that's a D1 or GES advisory company or whoever runs a successful organization, is because of these attitudes that really drive a successful mindset and put people in a position where they can be successful later in life. Okay? Now, so I know I can't get enough of this slide. When we made this last week, I thought it was the best slide ever. So we want to be able to handle questions for people that want to post questions online. Because I'm like the guy on the surfboard on the shark. There's no question we can't handle. So let's go ahead. Anybody that has a question, feel free to shout it out right now. I think, people like to talk about the whole concept of training the next generation of people. We do a lot of work with millennials and things like that. I think in today's world, it goes back to setting expectations for yourself for what you want to achieve. If you take our young people and say to them, you can achieve whatever you want to do in life. It's going to come down to your mindset and your work ethic that's going to allow you to do whatever you want. And I think for young people, especially young people today, to give them that type of authority and control over what they do, that type of freedom to make a determination on their own, and then being able to lead those young people by example are really the key to raising successful young people. So that was kind of the thing I keep thinking about. We've got interns that work on behalf of our organization here in Columbus, Ohio. I know Christy probably has the same thing. She's got a hot young freshman quarterback over there at Chaparral High School. These are all things that we can set in front of ourselves by just having that passion and that energy and that toughness, that tough-mindedness, so that when you do reach adversity and somebody's going to coach you hard because they have high expectations of you, it's important for these young people to be able to take that bull by the horns and not be intimidated by it. Just understanding that the vast majority of coaches that are in this country, all they want is the best for their kids. And if you understand that as a young person, that's going to drive you to get better. Okay? So let's see what kind of questions that you have. Anybody got questions out there? Go ahead and post them on the post there if you have any questions. Anybody got questions out there? Go ahead and post them on the post there if you have any questions. Okay, if we don't. All right? Anybody got questions out there? Go ahead and post them on the post there if you have any questions. All right? Anybody got questions out there? Go ahead and post them on the post there. All right. Do we have anybody on the call, Christy? All right. Do we have anybody on the call, Christy? All right. We're going to stop this stream. Go ahead and post it. And again, if people have questions that they want to ask at the end, feel free to post them down there, and we can respond even after we're done streaming this particular presentation. Okay? So let's have a great evening. Let's get after this week and achieve all of our dreams and goals. Be sure to check out our website, that'sad1.com. We've got some exciting programming, and I know Christy and Sam are getting ready to unleash some really cool gear that people are going to be able to access on the website and order. When that is going to come, we'll be sure to let you know. But thank you so much for your time, and we will be sure to check back with you in the next couple of weeks with our next exciting subject. Have a great night, everybody. All the best.